Hello. Ludi Div 4 Finals is happening in about 2 hours. Well, is that... I know X is just a total crap show as far as them getting theirs done in time. Is Div 4 the last one outside of that? I honestly even forgot who's playing in Div 4. Let me look that up real quick. Black Magic and Cascade Duck Crew. Give me Black Magic in that one. I've been playing really good lately. Hello, Arson, Drago, JPEG. Ludi's still happening? Div X. So that match everybody watched yesterday of Div X, that was just semifinals. There's still potentially 5 other Div X matches left to go before Div X is done. I'm aware of. Thanks for the follow. Kang San Gangs. Thank you. Hello, Falco. I'm glad you're here. That's convenient. That's very convenient. Good morning, Mr. Rookie. Mr. Rookie, you're the mastermind behind the Splat News, the good Splat News Twitter account, aren't you? I'm looking up some stuff here. Indeed. Hey, thank you for always retweeting my stuff with the Popcast. I really appreciate it. And all the other stuff that you do with that. I'm a big fan of that account, especially when the other one is such garbage and has more followers for some reason. So thank you for doing that, for being a positive Twitter account in our scene. And I mean that sincerely, not in my usual sarcastic kind of way. I know it's hard to tell the difference sometimes. Alright. Launch. When are we gonna scrim? I don't want to scrim persistence. I don't want to play you guys. I love you guys, but I don't want to play you. Scrim, tournament, whatever. You guys are such a headache. I'll never tell you, Stormy, I'll never tell you what we did to prepare for your Ludi set. That Ludi set we played against you guys, I guess about 2 years ago, almost now. But I'm really proud of the game plan we developed for you guys, and I never want to experience that again. Practice, tournament, otherwise. So you can piss off, Stormy. Oh my gosh. You guys are such a... I don't know. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen you guys play recently, so I don't know if your play style is still the same as it was back then, but it was... Yeah, it was just so... It was just so unorthodox compared to everything else that we're doing. That we've seen, at least at the time. That, yeah, I remember just being so frustrated. Whenever we played you guys in a tournament in 2020, I remember just being so frustrated. And then we finally figured out how to actually play you guys. And it's like, alright, this is better, but it's still not fun. But you guys got cannon now, right? So I guess that, yeah, that's fine. I don't mind playing against cannon. And we're finished writing the Popcast. I literally wrote the entire thing when I woke up this morning. All of this. I've written, I started it like literally about an hour ago right now. And we're finished. Man, episode like 3 and 4, like I would like spend days studying and writing those things, like hours upon hours. Now I got it down to an exact science to where I can just wake up and write this crap. It helps when I have somebody that I'm talking to, though, and they can fill most of the time, and I can just send them the questions ahead of time. But still, we're done. Screenshot it. So I've started getting these glasses. I've been complaining about, like, I look at screens a lot, just for this, for work, for gaming, all this stuff. So I've been wearing. My wife got me these glasses that block, I guess, like blue light or something like that. So I've been wearing these late at night when I'm like gaming or whatever. And I also got a pair at work what I use when I'm looking at my computer screen. And it's really helped. I'm not making some sort of promo for this. I'm not even going to name the company that these glasses are. But I want to point out, I wanted to wear them today, but I can't because they literally reflect every single source of light that gets thrown at them. You guys can see my ring light in both glasses right now. You can literally see the screen. You can see the Popcast view that I like, both monitors you can see. It's ridiculous. So any hope that I had of actually wearing these today is dead and gone just off of this. So we're just gonna have to sit here and let my eyeballs roast every time I do a Popcast. sucks, man. But it's whatever. These are the sacrifices I make for you idiots. You idiots in chat. Sit here, just let my old eyeballs flame away from this technology we've created to kill ourselves. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify. While you're sharing your Wordle score with your Twitter followers, even though 90% of them have no idea what the score number even means that you're doing there. Singing a song about how you don't talk about Bruno, no. Watching the VOD of yours truly winning the Creator Clash, cementing myself as one of the 4 greatest Splatoon content creators of all time. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Real briefly, let's talk about the Creator Clash thing real quick. Yeah, my team was loaded. It was unbelievably loaded. So they gave me Mel, Shinex, and Kraken Mare. That if that team actually like practiced together and grinded, that is a Div 2 team, legit. And when I first got that team, I was like, okay, either they think Kraken Mare sucks because he's Div 5 right now, or everybody else is just really, really stacked. Like, there's a lot of people in that tournament that I didn't know at all, and I got to meet some of them, which was really exciting to meet. And a lot of Splat tubers, like YouTubers, streaming their thing. Streaming on YouTube is something I have very little knowledge about, so it was cool to see some of those people. But over the course of the tournament, I started to realize, oh, a lot of these people they're not competitive. They're more casual, which is fine. You know, that's great. Though, honestly, I feel like casual streamers get a lot more viewers than like a competitive streamer would. Don't quote me on stuff like that, but still, I feel like that's the bigger audience right there. But as far as the tournament is concerned, and any tournament that I'm in, I'm going to try. I don't care what it is. If it's tic-tac-toe or just a Splatoon tournament with no prize, I'm trying to beat the dog crap out of everybody that I'm playing against. And if you give me Shinex and Kraken Mare, they're going to have that same mindset too. So let's just go at it. It's funny because like the probably the best individual player in that tournament right now, I would probably say is either Prochara, or I don't know how fresh Watsum is, but Watsum's probably up there too. I mean, dude, I think dude's stepped away from competitive for a long time. Dude's still a really good player, but still, you mix those players in with like some other good players or some more casual players. But yeah, like my team was just absolutely stacked. So there it is. But that's not the point. Like, winning that tournament wasn't the point. It was my goal was to win it, but the point was just to kind of for all of us content creators to kind of meet other content creators and to just kind of give some more people exposure, just to kind of like, hey, these are the people that are not necessarily the leaders of the scene, but the ones that are just kind of creating content in some sort of form or fashion. But now I can officially say I am the best Splatoon podcaster in the entire scene. I didn't see Negus in that tournament, did I? He didn't win that tournament. I did. That's all I'm saying. Now, here's something I noticed. Looking at that one and looking past over the Launch Point Draft Cup that happened this past weekend and the Midpoint Draft Cup that happened a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if I've said this on my podcast before, but it's so right. Your experience in a draft tournament is based off of one thing and one thing only. Who do you get matched up with? Who are your 3 teammates? That's it. If you get matched up with 3 people that are really good at the game and complement your natural kind of weapon that you like to use, you're going to walk away from that tournament and be like, this was a great night. I had a lot of fun. This was an amazing time. Heck yeah, I'm going to sign up for the next Launch Point tournament or something like that. If you get matched up with 3 people that are just total a-holes, suck at the video game, and are just miserable to be around, you're going to be like, man, this draft cup sucked. I'm not doing this again. This was horrible. It's a completely different experience. Those of you who probably played in all 8 draft cups, you probably have a wild range of how you felt leaving that draft cup, and it's all based around who you get matched up with. It's impossible. It's impossible to make a perfect team. You can't blame TOs for any tournament for making a juggernaut team and making a crappy team. It's so insanely impossible to do. But I'll say this, if you had a bad experience in a launch point draft cup or a midpoint draft cup, sign up for the next one, because your experience might be the total flip opposite of what it is this time around. And I'll tell you this, it's a lot more fun to be the juggernaut team than not. But I mean, we got through it, and you guys played the launch point, got through it as well. Hope you guys had a good time. We'll talk a little bit about that later. News of some upcoming tournaments that may be of interest to the casual listener of the podcast. Low Ink is next week. So we'll do the Low Ink usual stuff there, where I give you the list that is horribly wrong and all the other shenanigans we do for Low Ink week. That is next week, because this week is SAC tournament number 3. I believe Destiny Troops is going to try to get back into that one, so I'm not going to be commentating it. And after SAC tournament number 3, we'll have a better idea of who, like, the contenders for top 8 are going to be. So the next episode of the Popcast, episode 100, we're going to do the, I'll do like a breakdown of like what every team needs to do in tournament 4 and who specifically they need to beat in order to get into the top 8 spot in the final tournament of the season. So we'll do some math and logic. Is something I always look forward to doing on the Popcast. I like stats. I just don't always have time to look them up. We're due for an LSL tournament, ain't we? LSL number 18 should be rearing its ugly head at some point, I would assume. I haven't seen an announcement for that yet, but I'll keep an eye out for that whenever it is, if it's this month or next month or whatever. We stay in LSL around these parts. Today, we are going to be recapping Minnow Cup that happened on Saturday, as well as a bunch of other tournaments that took place this past weekend. And briefly, we won't do a deep dive, but we will briefly talk about what happened in the Launch Point Draft Cup. A little bit more than what I already have. But first, welcome into the Popcast, streamer, commentator, and founder of Friday Night Frenzy, the one and only Falcoflyer. And that would be you, right?
Gun. Hello.
Hello, that's you. You're here.
That is me.
I told you this would be smooth and easy kind of transition. It's and here you are. You know, you used to do those podcast things. And
yeah.
I always thought, well, that'd be a lot easier just to record something and then do it later. Because when you do something live like this, like, you have no idea what the other person's going to say. Like, you could go off on this crazy political rant, and I'm just screwed. Like, I can't, because it's all live. So I don't know. I'm glad you're here, but I appreciate what you used to do, at least with the podcasting thing, because that's such a safer environment.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I haven't done it in a while, but if you don't know, I used to interview Splatoon streamers, and this was before I even knew what Ludi was, and I called it Under the Ink. I had no idea. what Looney was, and then I was like, oh, I should either change the name or, completely do something else. But no, it was a lot of fun, and I do miss podcasting. But I am happy to be here, and I'm happy that you trust me. You were kind of giving me ideas on what I could do now that we're live. But I'll keep it PG here.
Hey, you have arguably more to lose than I do by going rogue here. All right, you're going down with me if it gets crazy. How's morale in Ohio?
Morale is good. Oh my God. So I live in the greater Cincinnati area, and if you know sports ball, you know that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to the Super Bowl for the first time in the last 31 years, maybe. I don't know. Something like that. So a lot of hoopla, and it's really exciting. But we also got a lot of snow too, which is, it's exciting, but when the roads are all closed and you have a level 3 emergency for 48 hours straight, a little stressful, but we're doing good. We are having a good February so far.
You know what? One of the worst things about the Bengals franchise is they don't have an indoor practice facility. There are high schools that have indoor practice facilities, but the Bengals, with the snowpocalypse that happened this past week, the Bengals, if they wanted to practice for the Super Bowl, they were out in that mess. Whereas the Rams are in like this climate-controlled Los Angeles wonderful place. I mean, I could talk about. I would love to talk about the NFL all day long here, but that's something I was thinking about what this snowstorm was going through. Is like, man, there's a team practicing for the Super Bowl in like 2 feet of snow right now.
And meanwhile, the other team is going to be the home team for the Super Bowl in sunny California. So, the Bengals might have an uphill battle. But you're right. We could go all day about football, but we're here for Splatoon.
The Launch Point Draft Cup happened yesterday. What I have here is the top 6 worst team names, the best of the worst team names, and I want you to pick the worst team name of my list of 6 here. So here we go. You have the Goofy Goobers, Bubble Blowing Babies, Squid Life Crisis. I feel like that one's been done before. Pop Gun's Low Ink List, the Toe Steppers, and the Crinkly Doodles. I want you to tell me, of those 6, which one is the worst, the best of the worst.
The best of the worst. Okay. I feel like crinkly doodles, crinkly doodles. That's man, I'm sure the commentators had a hard time with that one because I certainly am. I would go with that one, to be honest. I think of like Cheetos when I think of that name, and not in like a pleasant way. I think of like soggy Cheetos.
Yeah, I like your mindset. You're thinking of it from a commentator's perspective. Right. I have to say this name consistently on stream. When you say like, I try to like abbreviate names sometimes, like Shiver Me Inklings or Shiver Me Feeders. I just call them the Pirates. Right. Could you think of any like name that you've just kind of like butchered on purpose just because their actual name was just unreadable on a consistent basis as a commentator?
I wouldn't say unreadable, but I know the name, and this is Nino's team, Zummerzeit. I can't say the full German name.
Yes.
But I always just say Zummerzeit or SZ. But I've tried once during Snowpoke's Ink Theory tournament, and I think everybody got a kick out of it, especially because she's from Germany and can pronounce it perfectly. I certainly can't, but typically I haven't had that many names that I've had the opportunity to try and butcher. So I don't know. I'm sure some will come up though.
There's the team. It's spelled like IRIDE, like IRIDE, but it's I forget what country they're from. It's a European team, but it's not that at all. It's like Irida, I believe is how it's pronounced. But like every commentator that reads English is of course going to call them IRIDE. But so that was kind of one that kind of popped in my head. Hey, you're a commentator. Do you know the first tournament that you commentated? Do you remember that?
I do. So I believe the year was 2019, and again, it was a tournament called Ink Theory, which is a tournament that my friend Snowpoke she used to run, and as far as I know, there weren't really any rules that made it kind of unique. It was open to anybody who was willing to apply, and I know this was during I think a Ludi off season, so I had been streaming for quite some time, especially Splatoon, but that was really the first opportunity I had to commentate. And I think everybody who was helping with that tournament was new to TOing. So we were just like all kind of there trying our best, holding it together. And for the most part, it ran pretty well and it was a lot of fun, especially because I think we didn't have a certain expectation for us to really get to. It was more of, okay, let's see how well we can do and how well we can do this. And yeah, that kind of started it.
Yeah, I remember Ink Theory being very, I mean, it was the same format as Low Ink. It was like a Swiss into a Top Cut, but I remember it being very widely participated in, like 40 to 60 teams signing up for it. Destiny Troops I know played in it a couple of times. Yeah, I was always surprised about the amount of teams that would sign up for something like that. I guess just Snowpoke just kind of had that kind of connection with a lot of people.
He certainly did. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever obviously you've been commentating a lot of things since then. Have you been and you TO your own tournament, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but have you had TO experience in other tournaments before?
Absolutely not. No, I really haven't. And that was kind of what I was most afraid of, and but also excited because I wanted to do something very different than what a lot of people are typically used to for a Splatoon tournament. And like we're going to talk about Friday Night Frenzy, but it is structured a little different than Low Ink or LSL or Minnow Cup, where I just kind of am doing my own thing, and I don't even use, Battlefy or Smash or anything. It's all on a Google spreadsheet.
And I remember we did like a quad session once, and you kind of showed me the the breakdown of what you did with the overlays and the formulas you created to do all the stats and all those things. How long could you explain some of that stuff? And how long it took you to create some of that? Because production in general is something that's a topic a lot of people are talking about as far as streams are concerned.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll start off by saying I have zero graphic and web page design knowledge at all. But what I do have the knowledge is for working in Excel and Google Sheets. So I have a statistics degree, and I've had to use Excel many, many times and use a ton of different formulas that are kind of key to help organizing how you can generate some of these overlays. So a lot of it comes through a third-party application as well called Sheets.io, where basically you can take a cell in a spreadsheet and automatically download it to your computer. And with that, you can use that as a text file, as a JPEG, and you would upload that to OBS or whatever your software is, and it will automatically update every 2 seconds or however often you need it to update. So that's kind of the foundation of it. But, just from schooling and having a lot of Excel knowledge and things that I figured, okay, this would probably be something that is important, or all right, I need to know the matches for the next round, so let me create a drop down and then it will automatically populate, things like that. And it's definitely a work in progress, but I think for this upcoming tournament that I'm doing, I have made it better than I have before.
Gigas called you a nerd in chat.
I saw that.
I've seen the stuff you've sent me, Gigas. You're not allowed. Well, I guess you're allowed to call other people a nerd because you are one yourself. Could you explain Friday Night Frenzy to somebody who's just now hearing about it for the first time?
Yeah, I'd love to. So Friday Night Frenzy is a Splatoon tournament that is set up very similarly to, think of like a sports recreation league. You're doing an intramural sport in college and you're playing football and you have one match a week. So oh, we play every night at this time. Well, Friday Night Frenzy is really similar, where we have 8 teams. In between 9 and 11 p.m. Eastern time, you're going to have a designated time where you are playing on you are playing another team, and your match is going to be streamed and commentated. So that's something that I found was missing from a lot of major tournaments that are going on. You probably only see about 5% or even less than 5% of all the matches that happen. The TOs pretty much just have to choose one match per round to show. But I really wanted a tournament where it was a round robin based, every single match is streamed and commentated, and there's kind of like a storyline for these teams too.
Yeah, I mean that's why people watch Low Ink, because they know what the storylines are for the teams that are playing in it consistently. And you and I have had conversations before. You always see competitive Splatoon, I feel like, differently from how other TOs do. Most TOs see it as like I had a brother who played travel soccer growing up. So they would just like go across the state and they would play in like a weekend tournament. That's kind of what competitive, I guess, most esports is. You see it as more like or you would like to see more stuff like a league kind of setting, like you would see like professional ball sports do.
Yeah, and I think it's easier for the viewer to kind of look at it that way too, because if you're watching Low Ink for the first time and you just have a little bit of Splatoon knowledge, you're not going to know, okay, why are these teams facing this? What is a Swiss round? And you just are kind of a little more unaware, or, oh, I have to go to a third-party website to kind of see the standings, and maybe I've never been on Battlefield before. So everything that you see is presented right there in front of you on Friday Night Frenzy, showing kind of the live updates, the live standings, and everything.
Where did the inspiration to create Friday Night Frenzy come from? Like, what made you, like, what sparked the idea for you to create that?
Well, I think it's just because I saw that was something that was missing in the Splatoon community. There is Ludi, and I'll be honest, I didn't really know a ton about Ludi before I created Friday Night Frenzy, since I'm not really a competitive player. But I just love the idea of having weekly matches that everybody kind of knew when they were going to be playing. And, you only have, I'll say only, quote, 8 teams that you're managing and have to be aware of. Because I know if I tried to create my own tournament, there's no way I could have managed to handle more than maybe 12 teams or so. So I thought it was just something that was missing from the community a little bit, but would also complement the community, because, I mean, Friday Night Frenzy happens on Friday nights where not a lot of tournaments happen. So I in no way wanted to kind of replace any existing tournament or compete with any tournament for that matter. I just wanted it to be something that was a little different for the casual viewer and competitive viewer.
So it is a skill cap tournament. Div 4, this upcoming season's Div 4, correct? Is the cap? Or is it 5?
It is, you can apply if you are Div 4 or lower. That is, yep.
Now, some people will be critical of that and say, oh my gosh, another skill cap tournament, another tournament I can't play in. Oh my gosh. What led to the mindset of making a cap for the tournament?
Well, I needed a cap because people were going to wonder, am I able to apply? Would I be good enough to apply? And I felt that this would be something that would be more catered to low level. So, I was in the mindset that, okay, if you are a higher div, you're probably not going to want to do this, especially with no monetary incentive. We do officially have a $10 prize pool, but I was kind of thinking, okay, this could be a good way for lower level teams to kind of meet and, find a scrim partner too. Because I know for earlier seasons of Friday Night Frenzy, there are teams that I believe they met through FNF and are, they're good friends and are definitely willing to scrim each other.
Whenever I first got into TOing, it was as someone explained it to me, you have your known unknowns, like the things that you're not going to figure out until you actually do a tournament. And you also have your unknown unknowns, where something's going to pop up and you're like, what the heck is this? I wasn't expecting this. What did you learn from the first season of this tournament series that you weren't expecting?
Oh, so during the first season, I had little to no TO experience, and so they were things I knew were going to come up, but I didn't know what they were going to be. And I never really had help desk experience too, so I didn't really know what types of questions players would be asking. But I was just hoping for the best that, okay, let's hope every team can play every Friday night for 8 weeks in a row. I know that's a lot to ask for. At the same time, it's only for a 30-minute time slot, so there's kind of a little bit of give and take there. But, you know, there were a lot of timing conflicts that kind of arose, and, you know, I had to be a little flexible, and I even offered to say, like, hey, if, you know, we can't play this match during this set, I don't mind, you know, kind of recording it the day before, and then we even show it live during that time slot just so viewers had something to watch. Because another thing I was really trying to avoid was having a lot of downtime in a tournament where I think if teams know, okay, you're playing at 9:15, this team's playing at 9:40, there's a very quick and expectation that you are going to be there on time. But I also learned it was very hard to cast, commentate, and update overlays all at the same time. That was quite a work in progress there. But you know, I'm trying to streamline it a little more. And again, with kind of how I've organized my Google document, I think it's going to make it much easier.
Yeah, that's, you know, whenever there's a new tournament, that's something I've always kind of noted, or a new TO. I think they're not really understanding of the amount of work that kind of goes into putting production into something, especially if you're not used with IPL. Like IPL has just an army of people that do a lot of things. So it's always an eye opener for me when I do something not IPL related. It's like, oh, you guys don't have like your own dedicated streamer who knows how to run spec cam that's not on auto mode and just automatically locks on to the perfect play at every time. It's crazy. And yeah, you're doing a lot by yourself. But you have some staff members, I'm assuming.
I do. So I have Bluey, who is typically the lobby hoster, just so I don't have to be the person making the teams and setting up the mode and map and doing all that. And I have Nino, who's kind of my liaison between me and the teams. You know, he will kind of ping them when they're ready to go to make sure that they're on time. And something we're doing this season that I didn't really do before is have a dedicated help desk, because before it was us three who were really doing everything. And I know for only 8 teams, that's not a lot, but again, there are just some things you don't know what to expect. If somebody needs a sub last minute, if somebody's going to be late, things like that, they are kind of hard to handle. But so far, it's been very, very smooth.
And this is an 8-team tournament, correct? Or league?
Yes.
How many? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, 8 teams. Because of right now having a 2-hour time slot, I felt that was the most appropriate. I physically wasn't ready to expand it just because that would be, you know, a long stream if we were to expand it to 12 and potentially 16 teams. It is something I thought about, and even thought about how could I make this happen with having like 2 games going on at once and you kind of go back and forth between those two. But the bones of it is I needed every single match to be viewed by viewers. That was something I was really passionate about, and what I wanted to kind of bring to the competitive scene.
That's obviously, you kind of pointed out that is kind of an issue with some of the other tournaments we have right now, is that they're, especially low ink during Swiss stage, we show you 6 matches, but you're not going to see the other 300 or so going on in Swiss. I'm assuming you get more than 8 teams that sign up for this.
For season 3, yes. So I'll start with season 1. I struggled real hard to get 8 teams because I had to convince them, and they had to trust me that this was going to work. You know, nobody wants to make a blind 8-week commitment with something that they've never heard before. So it was really hard. I had to recruit my butt off to get those teams, and half of them were pickup teams of people I asked, like, hey, can you make a team? Can you play? And there really was no skill cap at that point because it was kind of, I'll say it was like a pilot stream, I wanted to see if this was even possible, and it turns out it was. So going to season 2, as word got out a little more, I had an official application form, and we did have more teams sign up, and we got 8 pretty comfortably, which was really nice. I didn't have to work too hard to do it. But now, since we started season 3 and I opened applications up, I would argue a little too early. I opened it up 2 months before the tournament was actually going to start. I will say we do have more than 8 teams, but I don't want to specifically say how many because I don't want that to discourage anyone from signing up.
Well, how do you go about deciding what teams you accept? Like what factors play into who you will take in?
Yeah, so on the application form, there's a lot of information that you can fill out about your team. Who's on your team, what Ludi experience or any competitive experience do you have? Have you ever participated in Friday Night Frenzy before? So there are a few things that we try to look at where we mainly are looking for kind of established teams at this point, because established teams, it's easier for them to play weekly. I feel like pickups, you have a lot of people who just either don't want to play anymore or desperately need subs. So having established teams that have a pretty good history of signing up for tournaments and finishing out tournaments as well, that's really important to me. We also look at teams to make sure that they are skill liked with each other. So I know we are open to Div 4 and below, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to have the 8 best teams play. We could have a few Div 4 teams sign up, but that doesn't mean they're going to be playing if, we have them and then some Div 8 teams. I wouldn't do that. So we want to make sure that these teams are all around the same skill level. And then, again, just teams that have played in tournaments before, it's easier since they know what to expect, and I can rely on them not to drop out mid-season, because that's always my biggest fear, is having a team just be like, we don't want to play anymore, because at that point, you're like, what do I do? So, really, the legacy of the team, I think, is very important to us.
That's a fair concern too. You've never had a team in your first 2 seasons, nobody's dropped in the middle of the league, correct?
No, thankfully no, but we have had a team that, there have been so many roster and sub changes that every week you didn't really know who was going to play for that team. And at that point I was pretty much okay with it because I wanted to have a game. I wanted to have a match, but going forward, I'm going to have more strict sub rules where, you have to let us know ahead of time, well ahead of time, and the other teams have to know as well who's subbing, so nobody's caught off guard.
If you're just joining us because your school Wi-Fi sucks, we are talking with the Falcoflyer. Have you ever played Five Nights at Freddy's?
I have not. No. I don't know if I want to.
Me neither. I that's just the first thing I think of. But hey, Friday Night Frenzy. I'm all for
Not Friday Night Funkin'?
Friday Night Funkin'? Who calls it that?
No, the game Friday Night Funkin'.
Oh, that's an actual game. Oh, is that the game with the 2D characters and one's wearing the backward hat and the other's in a red dress? Oh, yeah. Don't people hate that or something?
I'm sure some people do, but one of my mods, that's one of their favorite games. So he's like, "How could you copy it?" I'm like, "I think I made FNF before that was a game, but I don't know." Either way, that's why I try to say Friday Night Frenzy as often as possible.
The branding. I understand.
Oh yes.
Hey, you're going to Low Tide City.
Yes, I'm very excited about it. I signed up last week actually, and I'm really excited because it's going to be my second land. I went to Riptide and we had the pleasure of commentating at Riptide together. Also, nice dog, by the way. See, he's on your bed or couch or whatever. Yes. But I'm really excited, especially because this is the first one I'm going to be flying to. Luckily, I could drive to Riptide, and I'm just excited to be in the mix again. And I totally understand the concerns of a lot of people. And I even bought the flying insurance in case I need to cancel or whatever. So I am prepared to do what I need to do if I can't go, but I'm very much looking forward to it.
Me personally, I think I'm just waiting for as long as I possibly can before committing to something, just because I want to make sure there's no Genesis situation. I mean, it's in Texas, so I don't think they really care. But the last thing I would want is like, oh, you can't get a refund for your hotel, or because I'll be flying just like you. But yeah, I mean, we're like I said, I've always been interested in Go. It's just kind of a weird state of the world that we're in,
Right.
have been in for a while. Are you planning on playing, or are you more going as like a spectator?
Initially I was gonna be going as a spectator and just being kind of an emergency sub if somebody needed me, because I'll admit I had a lot of fun playing and playing on stage. You know, my game went to game 5 and that was so exciting. It was a lot of fun. But me, I'm not a big comp player. However, I will be playing, and I don't know if our roster is officially finished, so I don't want to say who could or could not be on our team yet. I'll let that potential captain disclose that information if they're ready, but as far as I know, I'm going to be participating.
Is the team name, if you do participate, is the team name going to be something easy for the commentators to read, or are we going to make up a nickname for you?
I believe it will be easy. I hope it's not the B script or the B movie script, but you know, I will push for the easier side. Being a commentator myself, you know, I know the pain.
Yeah, I think that's, I don't know if I'm going to play, if I'm going to play or not. I'll probably just be, I think I'm just going to do the spectator route and just like commentate and volunteer TO and just
Right.
hang out in people's rooms kind of thing. I'm at this weird point where I'm only going to have fun if I feel like I got teammates that can compete for a top 16 spot or maybe sneak into a Sunday slot, which at my age, it means either I sit at a table with a bunch of teenagers, which is really weird and people are going to be questioning that, or I find like the handful of adults that are like good in this community, which is in short supply. So I don't know. I feel like I'll probably just go to spectate, and just enjoy the ride and commentate there.
I could be wrong, Popgun, but I think we were like two of the only married men who were at Riptide for Splatoon.
I know of some other people that were married that weren't there with their spouse.
Right.
That were there, and I know I wasn't the old. I think I was the oldest person competing there, but I wasn't the oldest person in that venue, for sure. But yeah, it's I don't know. Now, I can say this: I was the only person. My wife and I both played. So my wife would be the second oldest person who competed there and beat you on stream, by the way.
Oh, so. She did, but it was so fun. Oh my god. And like everybody who's on your team, Pock, Shmeeb, and J King, they were all so lovely. And like we all like high-fived each other afterwards. It was so great.
Before we let you go, give me a prediction for Sunday.
Sunday. Let's see. I don't know if the Bengals can do it, but I kind of trust in Joe Burrow, so I'm gonna go 27-24 Bengals.
Okay, and that is including Joe Burrow getting sacked about 10 to 15 times, right? Against that.
Oh, well, when you put it that way, since I got sacked 9 times in the conference championship, we'll see what happens. Let's just hope he's still walking at the end of the game.
Where can people find you?
So I stream on Twitch 3 days a week on twitch.tv/Falcoflyer, stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and you can also follow me on Twitter at Falcoflyer11.
And that's it. That's it. We're done here, aren't we?
I guess so. Thank you for having me, and congratulations on 99 episodes, by the way. That's incredible.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're going to hit that big 100 next week. I'm excited. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Probably SAC, but yeah, I'm excited. Thank you. And we'll have you on again for episode 149. And we'll get some thoughts on FNF season number 6 at that point. I guess you might be on.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Popgun. Have a great day.
And that was the Falcoflyer, streamer, commentator, and founder of Friday Night Frenzy. Not Friday Night Funkin' or Five Night at Frenzy's. Applications are still out for that, so if you want to compete in that, make sure you sign up. I assume just go to Falcoflyer's Twitter He has that tournament series in his bio. There's a Twitter account for that as well. Good commentator. I love talking to people who are doing things in the scene and have some interesting perspectives on a lot of things. This is a guy who got into commentary, very good commentator, and has gotten into TOing, as he said, without knowing anything about what he was doing, but figuring out along the way. We need more people like that. So, and if you do it and if you become the next Falcoflyer, who knows, you might be on the Popcast. Everybody wants to be on this, unless you don't. But that's enough talking about that guy. We got other things we need to talk about, and then I need to go. So it is time, once again, for the weekly recap. SOS 57 returned after taking last week off. Raccoon Soup spilled all over Summit 4-1 to win the Great White Bracket Campfire, taking third place. This is just SAC. And the other tournament, Squid Junction, as I'm looking at that, that's just SAC as well. So, man, maybe there are a bunch of mid-level tournaments. It's just they're hidden in these open tournaments right here. But still, I mean, that's the same result we just basically saw in the last SAC tournament to some extent there. Shout out to Hog Riders, a new team that almost beat Summit before Summit pulled off a reverse sweep and barely held on to Game 5 to beat them in stream on round 1 there. Hey, Hog Riders, that Summit match they played on stream, that might be a contender, like a dark horse contender for like a top 3 match of the year kind of spot right there. That was really, really interesting. I'm curious to see more of Hog Riders if they were to play an SAC or something. Black Magic dominated the Hammerhead bracket. Macazaria won Mako. Lantern goes to Heaven's Infinity. Squid Junction number 17. Has it really been 17 Squid Junctions already? My goodness, this is a legit tournament. We always see like new tournaments pop up, and I always roll my eyes like, oh, we're going to see 2 of this, and then they're going to disappear into the night. Squid Junction's here to stay, and it's good to see. It's very well attended North American Saturday night tournament. Probably the more notable. It's not, Paddling Pool has been around forever, but I feel like this is one of the bigger tournaments Dapple Productions does on a monthly basis. 4 Beans won this one, avoiding a bracket reset loss, beating Hello Kitty, a team made up of Taco, Exy, and Zeke, and I didn't know who the other person was. J15 Gang finished in 3rd place. The players on that is Boopy, Kelp, Red Spy, and Pulp. Hey, I know who those players are. Some interesting matches that didn't finish in the top 3, but I wanted to point out anyways. Foam beating Narwhal Gaming. Again, Foam, basically, as you look at their roster, it's a campfire pickup, so they beat them on SOS, and they beat them in Squid Junction. Foam's Campfire, whoever you call these guys, they seem to be the kryptonite to Narwhal Gaming that has been just kind of dismissing all these mid-level teams whenever they play them in SOS. So, a little interesting result there for the last week. Macazaria beat fan favorite Tukey, and Wipeout Punks continuing to dominate in these tournaments where we traditionally haven't seen them dominate in the past. Going all the way to losers round 5. Wipeout Punks. Those guys are on something else this past couple of weeks. They've been really strong. Launch Point Draft Cup number 8 was won by the iPad Gods, made up of Jaden, Scrub, Dusk, and Lappy. A team that did not win this Launch Point Draft Cup is the Popgun's Low Ink list, which got eliminated in round 1 of Top Cut. I think we had Low Ink, we had the Popgun's Low Ink list. We had the Popgun's Twitch passcode, which I think was the worst of all of them. We had Popgun's Hairline, I think, that finished in like 3rd place or something like that. And we also had the Popgun team that played in Low Ink and made beta bracket. Come on, guys. If you're going to use my name, win the doggone tournament. Don't harm my brand by doing anything worse than 1st place. Okay, there's been one JPEG team, and that team made Alpha Bracket in Low Ink. I can't let a JPEG team be better than every single Pop Gun team that signs up using my name. Come on. From now on, the only teams that are allowed to use a Pop Gun name are Kraken United and Legato going forward. I'm putting that down. Ludi Div X had a very well received tournament viewing of their semifinals. Starburst beating Young Squad 5-3. I believe Kiver streamed this to over 6,000 people. How is that true? How many people watched that? I saw the stream results from that, and I was just an absolute shock that many people are watching it. What happened there? Can somebody tell me, please? But still, this is just semifinals. There are still 4, potentially 5 more matches of Div X yet to be played. Oh, that's such a slog. The AFC Championship, or the AFC beat the NFC 41-35 in the most ridiculous display of football imaginable, the Pro Bowl, what's the point? I don't understand the point of this. I mean, I get like the players are getting paid, but of course they don't want to hurt each other, so they don't actually tackle each other, and it's just more two-hand touch. I just don't really understand why we got to do that. I would propose a better change, and I know I'm losing a lot of you here, but we're almost done. The Senior Bowl, that is usually like the it's college seniors trying to play one more game to get their stock. Just make that the Pro Bowl instead, and just have the Pro Bowlers there, like hanging around those players, because the Senior Bowl, those players are playing for something. They're trying to improve, so they're actually going to hurt each other, which is why we watch football. I don't know. Pro Bowl sucked. And that was the weekly recap, sponsored by your mom, LeMayo. Tell your mom thank you for sponsoring this week's episode of the weekly recap. It would be sip time, Pixel, but I'm all out. I drank it all during the interview, so here's a little bit left. All right. We'll blow right through the Minnow Cup before I lose my voice for not having any more water. Minnow Cup. Minnow Cup. The Clan Blitz edition of the Minnow Cup took place on Saturday. My overall thoughts before I get down into the Swiss stuff and whatever the heck Ocean 7 is on. I've been thinking about this, because now Minnow Cup is a bi-monthly tournament as far as to what it was before being a monthly tournament. How does your success in Minnow Cup translate to the grand prize of ultimately becoming a low-ink champion? And I didn't really know. I cover every single Minnow Cup that's happened. Literally every Minnow Cup I've talked about in depth here on the Popcast. But I don't remember off the top of my head who won what. Sometimes I go back and watch an episode of the Popcast, so I know what I said then about that tournament, so I can talk about it again going forward. So I went back and I looked at the past 3, not including this one, but the 3 previous Minnow Cups, and see where the teams that won that one are ending up right now. First off, the most recent one, the Tower Control tournament back in December. This was won by Persistence. Falling Shark finished in second place. And I didn't put down here who finished in third. Probably didn't matter. But Persistence winning this one. They got banned from Low Ink right after this. I'm not going to sit here and explain like what plays into what team getting banned and what doesn't, but I will say in Persistence's case, this was just the tip of the iceberg. Like, I think they're already, I remember at the time they were already back, and this Minnow Cup win they got in the Tower Control one just kind of confirmed it. And again, that was another tournament. That tournament was the last tournament the Div 4 teams were playing in. So you had a lot of teams like Leg. I think Leg is the team that finished in third place. You had Leg there. You had ITAP there. You might have had Wipeout Punks there, but you had like all those Div 4 teams that we already kicked out of Low Inc. that were playing in that Minnow Cup one last time. So that was a little bit stronger than usual as well. Like winning that one, it's a little bit different. So Falling Sharks finished in second place. They're still Low Inc. eligible. They usually make Alpha Bracket, and I know they signed up in this most recent Low Inc. I can't remember if they dropped or played off the top of my head. But still, you didn't get that last one. I thought was an outlier. It was like, okay, that was just a stronger tournament than before. So it's not fair to say, okay, the direct correlation between that Minnow Cup and the most recent Low Inc. after that, a little bit different. Let's look back in October, the Splat Zones tournament. Who won the Minnow Cup Splat Zones tournament in October? I'll give you guys 5 seconds. It was Sirius. Sirius won it, which is weird to think of now because Sirius is winning SOS tournaments, and part of those players are combined into Raccoon Soup. That's dominating every tournament that they're playing in, mid-level wise. Sirius beat Leg 3-0. Access Denied finished in third place in this one. Sirius, again, that was just kind of another one of those Low Incs. Like we had suspicions about Sirius being Low Inc eligible, considering what they had done in some Squid Junctions leading up to that. But just dominating that tournament was just kind of the aha. Our suspicions are confirmed. Sirius is really good. And of course, Sirius went on to be Div 3, finishing in second place to that. And you know how strong they are now. They're well beyond Div 3 at this point. Leg ultimately getting banned because of their Div a little bit while. Access Denied, just a few frames away from winning Low Inc in January. So again, kind of the same trend of a team winning a tournament and then getting banned from Low Inc but it's just more of like, okay, these teams were pretty sus for us anyways. Winning this tournament was just kind of like the confirmation Low Inc needed. Let's look back at the final tournament. This was Rainmaker back in August. This was before Riptide and Super Jump. How long ago this was. Zenile, I believe is how I pronounce that, was a team that won this one, beating New Rave, Shining Storm finishing in third place. I don't remember. I didn't go back and listen to the episode of Minnow Cup that I talked about this one, but Zenile did win it, and I don't remember what those team players were specifically, but I did look at one of their captain played in Low Inc last month in January for the team called IYL, I Love You. They went 2-2 and dropped. So there you go. You still got some players who won a Minnow Cup way back in August. And yeah, it makes sense that an Australian team won the Rainmaker only tournament. But those guys are still, or at least the captain of that one that I saw, was still eligible for Low Inc. So it's not like a direct ban. My point is, looking back at some of the past Minnow Cups in direction to a Low Inc, how they do in Low Inc going forward. Because before it was like you win a Minnow Cup and it didn't really mean anything. Like you barely made Alpha Bracket, if that. It wasn't always a direct correlation just because it's a one mode only thing as opposed to all 4 modes that you got to win. So my point being, Ocean 7 is fine. They won this past Minnow Cup, obviously, and we'll talk a little bit more about them later, but it's not going to be them, oh, they won Minnow Cup, they're gone. No, it's more of a case-by-case basis. And what we've seen, looking at the past Minnow Cups, the case-by-case has been, what have you done outside of these low-level tournaments? Persistence popped off, Sirius popped off, and that's just kind of what did them in there. Looking at, I'm not going to do a deep dive of like winners and losers from Swiss. There's only 28 some odd teams that played in this one. So you don't see a ton of, there's not really like a ton of like things to compare to. But I'll give you 3 teams from the Swiss stage that didn't make top cut that I'm still interested in and want to talk about to some extent. First off, MSU Splatoon, Michigan State, Sparty themselves. Probably the best college team that's allowed into low level right now. We got PAL, the Purdue Air Launchers, and we got Michigan State. There are some college teams that played in CCA that are low ink eligible, but they don't play. They're like there's no UT Austin team that plays consistently. Those players just kind of play in pickups with other players as well. So as far as legit straight one university team, I think Michigan State's right now by default the best college team. Went 2-4 here. He beat Hidden Radiance of the Twilight, that is back in this tournament, not Hidden Radiance of the Dawn, which also played. So we got 2 Hidden Radiance teams again. They also beat Bamboo Dragons. Is Michigan State LSL eligible? I don't know, but that's the route ITAP took, and it took them a couple of years to get up through there. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on Michigan State going forward. You guys know I like college teams. Ink Sync did really well the last low ink. Failed to make top cut here. I don't know. I feel like their team isn't really built for Clan Blitz to be their strongest mode. Just because Jimmy is so effective on a charger weapon, but when we saw them played on stream in low ink, Jimmy was using like a splash or something like that. So it's interesting seeing Ink Sync. It's interesting because they picked it against Lois. That was their counter pick against Lois, was Clan Blitz at Mako Mart. So I don't know. Like, I don't look at them, Ink Sync missed top cut of a Clan Blitz only tournament. No, the low ink result was legit. I don't see this Minnow Cup result as like an outlier or bad or anything like that. I'm just curious to see, because on paper I would just assume them not to be as strong in Clan Blitz as they would be in other modes, but they might feel different because they like to pick it. Outcast Ninjas. I feel like I haven't talked about these guys enough recently. Yeah, I streamed their match against Legato where they got 5-0'd, but I talked about how close that 5-0 was. But Outcast Ninjas, I think they're a team that's just as old as Destiny Troops. I have results of us losing to Outcast Ninjas way back in like January of 2020, like 2 years ago. So I remember playing Outcast Ninjas long time ago. Probably before we added Z, honestly. But I feel like I just don't talk about them much because we don't see them as crazy often or get like those crazy results that we're kind of expecting, because they have made alpha bracket before. They went 3-2 here. Their 2 losses, they didn't get swept, and they beat Acropora, who did make an alpha bracket. So I want to talk about Outcast Ninjas when I get the chance to. I just feel like I don't always get the chance to talk about them, so I wanted to mention them here. The teams that made top cut in this tournament, and I guess we can show like the top cut bracket itself. Unless we can't. Top cut, screen, and scene. So here's the entirety of top cut here. Again, best of 3s up to best of 5 grand finals. Good. Just get the bracket over with. You're not playing for crazy stats or anything like that. Just play your sets. Nobody here surprising. iPad Gods. Is this the same roster that played in should be, yeah. Scrub. Okay, that's who Scrub is. Yeah, this is the legit same roster that won Launch Point Draft Cup. So they played in this tournament right before it. That makes sense. I wonder why more. Well, probably because they're playing with their actual teammates. But this was good practice. Maybe this was the synergy they needed to win the Launch Point Draft Cup. But I mean, nobody here really surprises you. Broken Controller Gaming, good to see them make another top cut here. A good bounce back from after going 3-3 in the last low ink, losing to the team that finished in second place here. Shiver Me Feeders, another good result. I mean, all these teams are alpha bracket contenders, and you feel good for Kappa as well. Kappa, a team, man, like even when they were Inkstrike Inklings, I talked about them so much at the beginning of 2020 because they were constantly climbing up the ladder. But then at some point, when you get to that alpha bracket status, you either just shoot past everybody and just scoot on up to being a strong SAC team, or you just plateau and you just wait for your turn to get through that very tight bottleneck of winning SAC. Kappa plateaued, but they're a team that you root for and you want to see them get back up to being one of those upper echelon alpha bracket teams. Fourth place here, Clan Blitz only, Popgun. Who cares? It's still good results against some quality teams here. And even though they're the 8th seed, so they barely got in, it's good to see that that they're slipping on through here. Somebody said something in chat that interests me. Just mentioned there was no word on next LSL. They just announced LSL 19 will be February 27th. Just announced that. Okay, cool. Thank you. Wait, aren't they supposed to be on 18? What happened to... Was it 17 the last one? Didn't they skip 18? Oh, well, we'll get back to that later. Well, thank you for posting that out. Back on topic here. Kraken United finishing in 3rd place. This they're the number 1 team on my list last time. They might be there again, but they're a strong team for a reason. Clan Blitz, yeah, and look who they beat, or look who they lost to. The Indian Tech Support. This is a Legato pickup, including Splat Squid as a sub, who is just the universal I feel like Splat Squid has subbed for like the last 20 or so low inks consecutively without being on an actual legit team. It's just like a universal sub. So good to see that player finish as strong as they did. But this is mostly Legato players, this Indian Tech Support team here. I wanted Kraken United to finish in play against Ocean 7 here, because I feel like there's a little bit of a rivalry forming between Ocean 7 and Kraken United. Ocean 7 beat Kraken United 2-1 in losers bracket of losers bracket alpha bracket last month, and poked the bear a little bit. I made Kraken United number 1, and Ocean 7 kind of cheesed it a little bit, taking a clip and being like, hey, we beat Popgun's number 1 team. I don't know if you want to be poking that bear, though, because Kraken United's pretty good. And I would like to see these two teams go at it with a little bit of maybe playful beef between the two. I don't know. But we'll keep an eye on that storyline in Low Ink for sure. But we'll talk about Ocean 7, obviously. What happened here? When did Ocean 7 become great in low-level tournaments? They made alpha bracket. I think they got squeaked in because of drops, if I'm not mistaken. But they did really well in the alpha bracket. I mentioned they beat Kraken United. I talked about them a lot on the Low Ink recap episode because they did really well. They didn't just like land an alpha bracket and were satisfied with that. They got strong wins along the way. And here they are winning this tournament. And it's interesting they won this tournament because they were not dominant in Swiss stage at all. They went 4-1. The 4 wins they got were all 2-1 results. Like Jelly Squid took a game off of them. Michigan State took a game off of them. Their one loss was a 3-0 sweep by the Indian Tech Support. So that what made you think, okay, these guys, ITS here is just going to run their way through this bracket unless UMA Stars, who went 5-0, are going to find a way to beat them up there. So Ocean 7 literally did not play their best until they got to semifinals here, when they flipped the switch, swept Kappa, and then swept the team that swept them right around. So that's great to see a team get better as the tournament goes along, as opposed to a team that just hangs on and survives as the tournament goes along. So Ocean 7, what's going on here? Like, what happened here? Are we sure we are drug testing these guys after they win tournaments? Did their roster change? Did they just get a new coach? Are they trying to prove somebody wrong? They got a chip on their shoulder? I don't know. But whatever happened to Ocean 7 the past couple of months, they're not the same team they were beforehand. Yeah, they were a strong beta bracket-ish team, but this is not a result that you usually see from a strong beta bracket-ish team. Ocean 7 seems legit. Are they a top 10 team going forward in the next Low Ink? I don't know. It depends on who signs up. You don't want to be prisoner of the moment because it is a Clan Blitz only tournament, but still, you look for consistency. You look for trends. Ocean 7 is very, very trendy right now, and I want to keep an eye on them because they seem really good as of now, and I want to see them play Kraken United. That's going to do it for today's episode of the Popcast. Great episode. Next week is episode 100. We'll have all kinds of crazy stuff going away there. We'll give away a car. Unless I don't know quite all what we're going to do. I had to play in a tournament this weekend. That's what I got to do. If you'd like to be a part of the podcast in any way, feel free to reach out to me in my socials below. Twitter at Mr_Popgun. Discord Popgun 5882. YouTube at 25Popgun. Twitch at Popgun25. Anchor.fm/Popgun. TikTok at Mr_Popgun. Let's raid Beyond Jin. Don't know who this person is. Let's raid him. Introduce yourselves. Yes, I'll go get some water, Pixel. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Make sure you guys get vaccinated. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Don't do stupid stuff. And if you're interested in applying to be on the FNF tournament, Friday Night Frenzy, make sure you do that.